erased what was there, and then I just put. I took the first 2 bullet points on my section, which is part number 2, and so I put up 2 paragraphs on that, and then I just deleted out the bullet points and just put my work in there.
Okay. Well, I did see that when I was in there this morning that someone had put something in there. So good. Thank you for doing that. And pretty much we're just going to be putting our information in that folder. You can choose to upload your document that you wrote, and we can incorporate it into the main document eventually, you know, before we turn it in, or you can just insert it like Brandon did, as long as you know where it goes, what section it's supposed to be in, and put it in there. If you have any question about that, just put it in as a document and we'll just incorporate it later, just to make sure it's all clear. Do you guys have any thoughts on what we're supposed to be doing? I know that we are still learning what we're supposed to be doing, because like next coming week, there are specific assignments on, let me just look and see. For lesson 4, there is a project 1 lesson assignment, and the instructions are on the classroom board, obviously, and it just is having us answer 6 questions, and we all post them on the discussion board, and basically that just starts giving us information to put into our project. And then lesson 5 has us doing something else. I think, well, one of them has us put together our interview questions. So, and we just want to make sure that we're ready to go with our interviews at the beginning of the week. We need to do them, which is, I think, right after, like, I think the week that we are putting together our interview questions as part of our assignment that week, that is the week we need to also be interviewing people. So we're going to have to make sure that we get that put together at the beginning of the week so that we have time to do the interviews. So, but I feel like we will be guided all along the way in this process. Have any of you had a chance to look at the sample assignments that are in that folder on Google?
That's kind of what I based. Excuse me. That's kind of what I based my 2 paragraphs on. Is I just kind of looked how they set it up, and I was like, oh, all right. So I just got a general outline of project was for the sample one, and then I just created my other 2 paragraphs.
Right. So I don't know if it, Misty and Clarissa, if you have seen the sample assignment in that folder, but it's like 26 pages long, so it's kind of intimidating, but really a lot of it is the write-up about the interviews, which we have to do for every single interview. So most of the project is those interview write-ups, because we each have to have 5, which means there will be at least 25 or 30 of those. And the actual project itself is about 8 or 9 pages long, and it has, you know, some charts and graphs in there. So the actual write-up on the project itself isn't that long. The interviews take up a lot of time, but they're going to be the same thing over and over, for a lot of space. They're going to be the same thing over and over again. So the first time I saw it, I was like, 26 pages, oh my goodness.
Yeah,
I've looked at it, it's not really that hard. We just have the same format for all the interviews and just write up our findings from each interview, and each of us will have 5 of those, so it takes up a lot of space. Does that make sense?
I did look at that, and I saw the samples, so that's definitely helpful. And I'm going to submit something in that tomorrow.
Okay. So I'm going to, now, are we all clear on who's doing what for the parts of the project?
I did see the assignments, and there were several of us, I think, on part 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was you 3 basically on part 2, because the other 3 of us met last week.
Right. Sorry, I was out of the country.
Yeah, it's fine.
Should we collaborate, the 3 of us, and like maybe pick some things from each? Is that kind of the idea?
Yeah. Now, honestly, we're all going to end up doing all of these. I think between the assignments, the way that it looks like it's set up is we will have assignments in our classwork that work toward getting this assignment complete. Right. But your guys' goal is to pull from the discussion board and where we post those things and who puts in the drive and all that, and make it all come together. Does that make sense? So pull the information you want to put in there and then put it up for everybody to review it so we can all agree. But your job would be to make sure that that information gets in there. Like Brandon already put in information for the a section or two in there, but you probably all need to look at it and make sure you feel like that he's covered everything, and he should do the same thing for your parts. And then we should all review it and make sure that it's done. But the bulk of the work will we'll all do some of the work, but you'll be in charge of putting it in there and making it all flow together in that section.
Absolutely.
And then we'll need someone to write. I'm anticipating at the end, we're going to need someone to write an executive summary, which isn't that hard. Someone to put everything on the pages together, and then someone to make it look pretty. Make sure it's all formatted and proofread, and I don't care who does what. I just feel like we're going to have to, at the end, we'll have different assignments that will also come in. Is that?
I'll do that.
You'll do what?
I'll go ahead and do the executive summary, and I can make all the formatting matched and make sure it all flows up.
Okay. Well, if you want to, that would be perfectly fine. Does anybody have not when people volunteer like that?
What I'm talking about, get a gold star. But
okay, so I am happy to help with formatting and things like that. Proofreading is something I do a lot of, and I'm very comfortable with it. So I'm willing to help you with that.
Okay.
If you need it. I think Aaron and I will be out of town next week, but I still plan to be on the meeting. But if I'm not, that's why, because I'm out of town and it's an unknown internet connection. So I don't know how it's going to work. But and by the way, are you guys all able to hear me fine? Because on my screen I look fine, but when I recorded an HOA before, if I wasn't directly plugged in, I was real choppy. Can you hear me all right?
Yes.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay, good. So I will be out of town next week, but I will try and join the meeting. But if I'm not there, just know that Aaron and I are planning on getting a lot of our research going on our section, which is the last section. What's the third? I got to look at the instructions again real fast. It's the market. Sorry, guys, just a second. I keep having to open these documents. It's so hard to navigate while I'm trying to also be on a video for me.
It's marketing, segmentation, targeting.
Yes, the fourth, number 4, marketing, segmentation, targeting, and positioning will be. We'll be doing, we both plan to have quite a bit of the research done this weekend, but I know that we're also going to do that in a future assignment, so I haven't worried about jumping on that like now. And then we're also going to be doing those interviews. So you might start thinking about what an interview guide will look like. And have you guys seen all of the documents that this instructions reference in here? Like the sample depth interview report?
Yep.
No.
It's talking about the car dealership thing.
Okay. I don't know about that. Where did you find that?
So on the sample project, or on the, I think it's the project one, the one where I put in that information, the one where we're going to be putting in all of our stuff. If you scroll down to, what page is this? The top of the page says each of you conducts 5 in-depth interviews in super big bold letters.
Yes, that's And
so right below that, there's another bold which says here are some helpful tips, and it says sample depth interview report.
Yes. Have you seen that sample depth interview report?
Yep. If you click on that, it won't take you to a link, but then it'll pull up a link right below it, and then you click that, and it'll download it.
Ah. Thank you. I'm going to post that in this folder.
I think that would be very smart.
Okay. Because I want to see, because when we met last week, none of us had seen a sample of the project at all. All these links that were referencing things weren't taking us to anything. And not all of them, but a lot of them. And so we didn't have much information. And so Aaron emailed the professor about it, and he got all the information and was able to post it in here. So that's why we have the sample the example that we have, that 26-page example. Otherwise, we weren't finding it anywhere. He got it emailed to him. Otherwise, we'd be just like, okay, what does this mean? I would have never thought 26 pages. I just didn't envision that. So, but it makes a lot more sense now that we can see it.
Yeah. So for this sample interview questionnaire, are we just assuming that we're going to change the questions? Because it sounds like they're talking about VM and Grease Monkey and a different industry. So like one of the questions is, do you personally change your oil or do you have someone else change it? Would we swap that question around and say, do you personally buy things at McDonald's or does someone else in your family buy it?
Right. Stuff like that. We'll be coming up with questions like these, and these are good to have because we know we can use them as the base of our question and just change it to fit the McDonald's and fast food market. So if we go through these things, since we're going to have to do it anyway, may as well get at least a feel for it and be ready for it. Because I feel like the week that we do these, get this discussion outline, whatever the thing is that we have to do to use for an interview, we wait to do it all that week. It's going to be hard to get the questionnaires made up for these people and then do all 5 interviews in time to have it all done. And I'm not sure. I'm hoping that week isn't the week the project is due, because it seemed really crowded is what I'm saying. Did any of you get, let me see. Lesson 5 has us doing prepare your project 1 discussion guide. So lesson 5, we have to prepare the discussion guide, which is the interview guide, I believe. And then lesson 6 is when we turn in the assignment. So we have to do the interviews the week before, and then lesson 6, we actually compile everything and get it pulled together. So we should have time. But it's always nice to get familiar with everything ahead of time. And everything will be in this folder. If you find a document that is related to this project that isn't in our shared folder, will you just add it to the shared folder?
Of course. Yep. I also have a question for Clarissa and Misty.
Go ahead.
So we were all assigned the same part, just to make sure we're all on like the same page with it. In the email, us 3 and Steven, I don't know where Steven is, but it says product/service customer behavior insights. And so the instructions on it were from Neil and Aaron, or from Laura and Aaron, were pretty much 3 of you do part 2 and 1 of you do part 1. And so I chose to do the part 1, which is the product. And then the 3 of you guys do the service, customer, or consumer behavioral insights.
Okay.
So it's actually super, super easy. And it's kind of nice we're on this call, because if you guys go over to the project 1 Google Doc, the one we've been, finding the interviews and everything else.
The example one?
The what?
The example document?
The one we're actually going to be like putting information on.
Okay.
So if you guys go over to that, I changed the text that I put in there to blue, so you could tell the difference of like when our section starts and what the first part is. So I kind of went. It's actually really, really, really easy. It's not hard at all. Just if you have the sample project and this document open at the same time and just reference it back and forth, you can kind of see what their bold headlines are, and then section by section. So if you have the sample one up, you guys would start on page 2. That's where it kind of shows your guys where it says psychological motives/needs, and there's just 1 paragraph right there. And so if you guys come up with that paragraph, and then let's see, service customer behavioral insights, I think it might have like another paragraph right below, but do you see how you can just kind of go from like heading to heading, paragraph to paragraph, and then just transfer it over?
Yeah, I'm looking at the one you put information on. Let me pull. Oh, there's a sample.
I have to find that link again. It's buried amongst all this conversation in our emails.
Here, let me.
About Netflix. Is that what you're talking about?
Yep. Yeah. So the sample project is the one on Netflix.
Right. I see that. Okay, that's a great tip.
Well, I think because if you follow the sample, you can just get it. You can see exactly what he expects us to do, and then just tweak it to be McDonald's based.
Right. Exactly. And the same with the questions that he was talking about. The interview questions.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Some of them we can interchange pretty easily with McDonald's, and some we might definitely have to change around or come up with our own. Like, how is that just kind of a general guide, or is that are those the questions they want us to?
No, that's just kind of a general guide, because then if you scroll all the way to the bottom of it, it'll show that we're not actually, my understanding is we're not actually turning in every question that we talk to them. It's just a summarized paragraph of all the questions we asked, or where the conversation was.
Yeah, that's what it looks like if you look at the sample project.
Mm-hmm.
And we should all follow the same format, because every single one of their interviews was exactly the same. They started out with the name of the person, who was doing the interview, the name of the person they interviewed, the demographics, which we'll just identify as the same for everybody, what fast food place they like to eat at or whatever, what they dislike about it, what they like about it, and the competition. Now, those are what they feel about competition, and that's what they came up with to research their Netflix thing. But we could do the almost exact same thing about McDonald's. I mean, and we just all ask the same questions, and we all answer these things in the same format, and just format them all the same way so that they all come in exactly the same. And
it's easier to read in the flow. That definitely helps.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
I just said it's easier to read in the flow when they're set up the same.
Yes. So we basically will just take the exact same template of questions and know basically how we're going to want it written up in the end to add, so that we all interview similarly enough that we can write up the same way and put answers in. So we'll do that before we start our interview. So don't start interviewing until you decided all that.
If you guys want to, I can go through that sample Word doc of the interview questions. I can just run through them real quick and just swap them out and kind of conform it to McDonald's, and then I can put the results on the email thread, so everyone kind of has the basic same outline of questions to ask.
Well, I feel like you're taking a lot on.
Man, I've done online school for so long. This is just no problem.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy to do that kind of thing too. So whatever, if you want me to do that interview question thing, I'd be happy to do that too instead of you, unless you really, really want to. Because
oh man, well, I woke up this morning, I was like, I cannot wait to make interview questions.
that's what I can tell. You're excited.
No, I appreciate it, but I have like a really, really disciplined hour by hour day with work and school. And so I have an extra hour, like I have a group meeting here in about 30 minutes. But then after that group meeting, I have a good hour and a half dedicated to just whatever leftover homework I have this week. And so to write up a couple of interview questions or swap them out, it's no big deal to me. It's no big deal.
Well, why don't you then just do what it is you can fit in, and don't stress about it, but just post what you've done so we can see, and then we can kind of pick up and finish up whatever you aren't able to get done. So
yeah,
if you have something else you could do for another class or on another assignment in this class, whatever, I'm just saying don't stress, but post what you do, and then we'll just finish it up, wrap it up as much as we can. well, we can assign that out through the email thread or at our next meeting, depending on what it is and when it needs to be done. So, thank you for being willing. That's really nice.
Heck yeah, no problem.
Yeah. I wish I this week and next week are going to be rough, but then after that, I'm going to be more available. For a week, and then being gone, I have to do school still, but it's not as, I don't do as much if I can help it. Does that make sense? Since I'm on vacation. So
are we going to have a standing Friday meeting? Is it better if we do it another day for you?
Friday at this time is perfect for me. It's perfectly fine if it works for everybody else.
Yeah, this is fine because the way my schedule works, if I have something set for this day, I can plan things better.
Yeah. So if someone needs to change it, this is a good day for me. But like I said, on next week, I will try and be on, but it may not work out. So if it doesn't work out, I just won't be here, but I'll post either by email or in the folder, the shared folder on Google Drive, the work that I've been doing. So just so we're looking ahead for next week. Next week's assignments in lesson 4 are, it's a project 1 discussion board, and it was those 6 questions I was talking about. So we'll probably be communicating on that discussion board next week, and we'll probably be talking about that and what these answers to these questions can do to help us in our paper, in our project, and how we can use them. So does anyone else have any ideas about what we should discuss next week when we're meeting? Just kind of follow up how we're doing. See, I mean, that's kind of what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I plan to contribute to the document in the next few days, and then we can kind of go from there and see if there's any other work that needs to be done.
If you actually put things in the document like Brandon did, he made it a different color. If you just make yours a different color than Brandon's, and
Will do.
anybody who contributes, maybe just put it in their different color.
Yeah.
Maybe we could put that on the email thread too.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect.
That'd be perfect.
Okay, so are we pretty clear then on who's doing what and when? Do we, I mean, we're going to follow the assignments that the class gives us, but specifically focused on certain areas of the document and what you're going to be pulling out and putting into the actual project. You guys are pretty clear on that?
Yeah, and I will do my part sometime before the next meeting.
Just start getting a handle on what it means and what you're going to have to be writing about, because I feel like we will be covering that in our lessons too. But yeah, get a good idea what you want to be writing about.
So I won't focus so much on product since you handled that. We'll look more at the service
Yeah.
part. Okay.
That's what I have to do. Maybe the behavior or the needs or something I can look at.
Okay. And I'll just send out an email like he did when I get something up, and then everyone can take a look at it.
Okay.
Yeah, if you just post in the email that you've added something, that will notify everybody to look.
Yeah.
There.
Okay.
Sorry, I just got booted off for some reason, so I just got back on. Apologize.
I wasn't looking at the video. I'm sorry. Glad you're back.
Yeah.
We were just saying how if you post something to the folder or you have thoughts about it, just make sure you email people to let them know that you have put something in there that could be looked at. Also, I suggested people use a different color than you. I don't know if you heard that part when they add stuff into the document.
Yeah.
In the end, it'll all be the same, but for the beginning, so people know where their part is, it would be easier to see. And I know that James has already done a SWOT analysis, and the one that's in the sample has a lot more words in it. SWOT analysis, in my experience, are just 2 or 3 word phrases, and you were supposed to keep them short. This one's a lot longer. So I may have him rethink that to make sure he got all the detail in there that he wanted, because I recommended keeping it short because of my experience with it. But it looks like they don't care that it's longer. So I'll probably just ask him to make sure that he got in there what he really wanted to get in there. So, and at one point, the SWOT analysis was in this folder, but I don't see it. Do you guys see it? Did you see it before? I didn't. It was in here.
Yeah, I think it was, the only place I think I've seen it was on the email thread that he put. It was separate than all the other documents. The one that I saw, I didn't know if it was ever transferred over or not.
Yeah, I think I have to go through all the conversations again, because there's like 3 or 4 different email conversation things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's hard. That's one hard thing with email, is keeping it all straight, for sure. Anyway, I saw his SWOT analysis. He had turned it in. I will find it and make sure that it's in this folder eventually, or I'll have him put it there.
Okay.
So
Sounds good. Well, thanks for setting this up. That worked well. Are we going to do it from this format?
say that again.
Will we be going through Google Hangouts? Is that the format we want to use? Works for me.
I think it's fine, because if we wanted to record a Zoom conversation, I think it records to your hard drive or something. I could be wrong about that, but someone, I think it was Aaron, who said last week, yeah, you can record it, but then it just comes as a video onto your laptop or something. And I'm like, that would be too big. I like that this HOA. See, I have done Google Hangouts before.
Yeah.
They're different than this live broadcast on YouTube. That's a Google HOA. And this seems to work a lot better. When we were trying to do Google Hangouts, it was killing me because nobody joined quickly. Like, there was never a time where we didn't have someone have a problem getting on. And with this Google HOA, both meetings I've used, 3 meetings I've used it for, have never had one problem with people getting on if you send the right link. So, you know, I think it works better than the regular Google Hangouts because it flows through the YouTube servers and whatever it's made for video. And then the Zoom worked fine, but I think it's a little clunkier as far as recording and things like that. So this is a good way to record the meeting and have it. I will post the link somewhere. I might just make a document that has all the links to our videos and upload it to the Google Drive. Is any other recommendation on how I should share the link so that we can come back and reference this if we needed to? I'll probably just make a document that says Google HOA or whatever, Hangout, Google HOA meetings or something, have all the links in it.
Yeah.
So anyway, is everything good? You guys feel good about this project so far?
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you feel about McDonald's?
They have good chicken nuggets.
Yeah. Well, I was surprised that that was the focus business. I feel like I just was shocked that, because it's such a standard, such a thing that's so commonly seen and talked about. I thought we would get something that was a little more unique.
Maybe Chick-fil-A.
Yeah, something like that. And I agree with what our professor said, that Chick-fil-A is not available to everyone. So not everybody has.
Here, I wouldn't have been able to interview anybody. They don't have it here.
Yeah, so it's really good that it's McDonald's, because McDonald's is worldwide, and so it is really good. I'm glad for it, but I was surprised. I was just thinking it would be something more unique and not as well known that we would be studying.
But I think McDonald's works. They have really good sweet and sour sauce. I recommend that to anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good to know. I might have to try their sauce sometime. But it's kind of gotten a bad rap in some ways over the last few years, because
fast food has, period.
Huh?
Fast food has, period, because of the health thing that's been going on lately. But I've noticed fast food's trying to get healthier.
Yes, and you can see them taking their their steps in their marketing to market to people who have said we're not going to ever eat there because it's not healthy enough, and they're trying to, you know, putting yogurt and applesauce and apple, you know, things in rather than that are more healthy rather than just saying fine.
Yeah.
So true.
That is true.
So it's a good one to use because of the way that it is available and well known. So
Yeah.
I'm glad.
The other thing I like about McDonald's is they have their traditional menu of Big Macs and hamburgers and everything, but they've got that more customizable thing now too, which is helping for this more modern market that we have. That.
Yep, people do like to customize their meals a little bit. So
Yeah.
I agree. Well, okay, we'll just plan on meeting the same time next week.
Okay.
And just email or find a discussion board to post to in the meantime. If you need to say something, just make sure you're sharing things that, you know, that you're doing so we know what's going on. And I did put the link to that Google Drive in our chat. Do you all have a chat screen pulled up?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you look there, you will see the link. Just click on it and that will take you to that, to where that folder is, so you can bookmark it or something.
Okay. See it.
Yeah. So I just did.
You just what?
I just did all the questions.
So, all right. Well, thanks, guys. Unless there's something else, I think we're going to just sign off and appreciate you joining.
Okay.
Right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
No worries. See you guys.
Do you want me to just set one of these up for well, I may not be able to next week, but who wants to, I guess let's see, who wants to be in charge of setting up this Google Hangout? Or maybe you don't know how to do it, but it's not too hard. I can send you the link to the instructions on how to do it. My other class, they made us like this, or I'm sorry, an introduction on the video.
I can
I know how to do it. I don't mind. 4 o'clock is, well, it's 4 o'clock here when my kids come off the bus, so it's a little bit tricky, but if I need to, I can do it. I might just be a few minutes late.
Okay. So did you want to try and be the one to set it up next week, Misty, or?
I don't mind doing it. It might just be a little bit late because, like I said, I'm quite a bit ahead of you. It's like dinner time.
Yeah. Well, if you think it's going to be late, Brandon, do you think you'll be maybe for sure able to start it on time next week?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll have no problem doing it.
Because Misty, I understand you're in a completely different area and time zone, and if you think you might not be on time, we'll just it's easy to set up. So Brandon, why don't you set it up? And I don't mind doing it most weeks, but next week's kind of iffy for me, so I didn't want to say I'll be there. So
yeah, that's no problem. It's really easy for me. I'm not going to be at the church next week for the internet, so I'll have no problem setting it up.
Okay, so and you know how to do the HOA on YouTube, right?
Oh yeah. Yep.
Okay. Perfect.
Great. Awesome. Thanks so much. You guys have a good weekend.
Have a great weekend.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Bye.